Video games, especially shooters these days, known for their money-hungry monetizations like battle passes, in-game skin shops, memberships, loot boxes, whatever. But there exists a genre that's more notorious and predatory when it comes to monetization: gacha games. While Battlefront 2 was facing lawsuits because of some loot boxes, there were already gacha games that people would spend thousands of dollars every month. They never became a headline because gacha games were mostly under the radar. Because by all intents and purposes, they were just cheap, trashy games. Every single gacha game was the same isometric or even 2D, turn-based, pixel art style, copy-paste of each other, terrible games. Most gacha games wouldn't even last more than a year. They were basically pump and dump of the past. Release a game that's a copy of the last one, wait for idiot people with brain damage to spend their money on the game, profit, stop updating the game after the hype dies out, release a new game that's a copy of the last one, rinse and repeat. Oh shoot, that's wrong clips, let's do it again. Release a Gunner wife collecting game that's a copy of paste of the last one, wait for people who's been dropped on top of their head at birth to spend their money on the game, profit, stop updating the game, and repeat this cycle forever. This is what gacha games basically were. They were just complete trash, cheap games that nobody wanted to play. And that all changed with the release of Genshin Impact. It was the only gacha game in the history of gacha games that's actually worth playing. And because it was actually a good game, many people played it, and it was, including me, a lot of people's first gacha game. And for many years, Genshin Impact continued to be the only gacha game you might ever want to play. Gameplay, lore, exploration, story, music, characters, there was just nothing anywhere close to it until the release of Wuthering Waves. In all those areas, Wuthering Waves was and is the only game that can compete with Genshin Impact. It isn't everyone's cup of tea because its gameplay required a bit more mechanical skill, but it positioned itself as one of the two gacha games that's worth to play. And I've been playing Wuthering Waves since the first day of its launch, playing it every day, and I'm a bit worried about its future. I mean, there are a lot of things that's not good or needs to be changed about the game, but what scares me is the direction game is going to right now. These days, every WoW fan is so hyped because 2.0 update is just around the corner, a new nation, bunch of new gameplay elements. There are a lot of things to be excited about. In many ways, Wuthering Waves became a much better game than what it was in the initial launch. But let's take a step back and take a look at the bigger picture for a second. Wuthering Waves was launched as this interesting third-person team-based action RPG with a kind of dark and grim world. To most people's surprise, in many ways it was actually different than Genshin Impact. If Genshin was Assassin's Creed, Wuthering Waves was more like Dark Souls. Some people didn't like it, some people, including me, enjoyed it. And as for being a gacha game, it had its exclusive banners for limited characters. At 1.0, it was Generic Man and a Dummy Mummy. Compare that to Genshin Impact. At 1.0, it was a twink and a terrorist. At 1.1, it was a generic man and generic man. At 1.2, it was generic man and generic woman. At 1.3, it was a generic man and a potential waifu for loners. It took them 4 patches to do that. And at WUA, first thing we get is this. I didn't really bat an eye to that because after all, this is a company and companies only care about money, so they had to make money, I guess. At 1.1, we got our first potential waifu and another dummy mummy. At 1.2, we got a shy girl and generic man. This was so far the only patch that's not targeting gooners, by the way. At 1.3, we got another girlfriend material. This time, however, she was literally our girlfriend. Like, everything that ever exists about this character called Shorekeeper is just about being main character's girlfriend. That's her entire personality. At 1.4, in the current patch, we got another girlfriend. This time she's a yandere type and she's terribly obsessed with the main character. Now 2.0 is right around the corner and this is one of the new characters we are getting. Take a look at this splash art and tell me, what do you expect from this character? Do you think she's gonna be a character with some deep and realistic and relatable and maybe likable personality? Or do you think she's gonna be just another one-dimensional waifu that's absolutely obsessed with the main character? Do you think writers at Crow Games cooked up some good personality for this character? Hell no, they did not, especially with 90% of her ass cheeks hanging out like that, definitely no. Listen, I like this game. Even though its lore and story is really bad right now, I'm more of a gameplay kind of guy, so I enjoy playing it. But every character, especially every female character being this shallow, this terribly written, one-dimensional object, kinda bothers me. If I wanted to play a Gunner game, I would go play Zenless Zone Zero, which I do play, but that's beside the point, okay? I like ice cream, I like steak, that doesn't mean I like ice cream steak. I start playing this game because of its good gameplay, but I also hoped it would have this deep and good lore with interesting world, interesting events, interesting characters. Last time we got ever so slightly well-written character in the game was Jinchi, and it was all the way back at 1.1. With every passing patch, developers themselves just forget about the lore, forget about the story, forget about the world. It's just waifu traps after waifu traps after waifu traps, in the hopes that maybe people with questionable mental health spend their money to acquire these pixels. Right now, the future of Wuthering Waves is not exciting. Wuthering Waves did not come a long way. It is slowly turning back to old times when how gacha games used to be. You might be thinking like, bro, it's just a couple of waifus and 85% of an ass, it's not that big of a deal. And you would be right actually, it's not that big of a deal. Wuthering Waves is not a trashy cheap game just because of these things. But that's the direction game is going to right now. With every patch, developers steering it more and more to that direction. As players, we are the passengers in that car. Responsibility falls on us to tell the driver where we're gonna go. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want this game to end up being some online casino brothel kind of thing. If I did, I would spend my time and money on Andrew Tate's camgirl businesses or something. I want to play a good game. And the future of this game, Wuthering Waves, does not look good to me right now.